If you could see a superstar professional athlete from another sport get inside that ring and compete against you, who would you like to see?
I think there's a couple dudes that would be great. I think LeBron, obviously making a spectacle of himself. He certainly knows how to entertain an audience. I always thought Michael Jordan, just because, and even Larry Bird with the amount of trash that they talked, I think they'd be fantastic. Reggie Miller is another name from the past. I think current guys, Chad Ochocinco is fit for this. Same with Terrell Owens. They're completely fit for this. I'm trying to think of anyone else. Shaq would be awesome. Shaq has actually guest hosted Raw, and he would be awesome as a WWE superstar. There's a few guys out there that belong with us.
If John Cena wasn't a professional wrestler, what sport would he be playing?
Golf. And I certainly would have been penalized multiple strokes for grounding my club in the bunker. I improve my lies everywhere. I try to get the best score I can, but I really find a lot of relaxation on the golf course. It's something, as my body gets older, I can't spend as much time in the weight room as I'd like to, because the time I spend in there, I want to optimize my performance. So I have to find something to keep myself busy. I've adopted the game of golf because I love the peace you get from being out there on the course. I think it's a very individualistic game. It gets you thinking about what you're playing. You're actually competing against the course rather than anyone else. It's really cool. I can't say enough good stuff about being out there on the tee.
So the NFL season's coming up. Do you have yourself a team?
Patriots looked really good in the preseason. I'm really actually interested to see what Tim Tebow does this year with Denver. Interested to see on what Dallas does this year. And, of course, I'm still caught up in the Brett Favre saga. Don't know if he's going to play or not, and really want to see him play another season.
Brett Favre is a guy who can't seem to give it up. Football's the only thing he can do. There's a few guys in the wrestling business that have that same attitude. First person that comes to my mind is a guy like Ric Flair. You guys in the WWE gave him the greatest send-off I've ever seen a couple of years ago. Never seen a wrestler go out like he did. What is it that addicts him to the ring?
Well, I think in Brett's case, obviously he's still proven that he still has it. I think if Brett Favre were to get to a point where he wasn't putting up the numbers that he is, he would be graceful enough to walk away with the game. I think in cases like Ric Flair, and even in some other cases of older performers still trying to do what they do, I've always given myself kind of a line in the sand. When I can't perform at a level that I did when I stepped into the ring at age 23, it's time for me to walk away. And I feel at 33, now I'm getting better than I was before. I'm still learning, still developing, still becoming a better athlete in the ring. When I get to a point where I can't show up and I'm just really punching a card to walk into the building and go to work and leave, and it's not a passion of mine, then I'll walk away. I can't tell you what drives guys like Flair and those other guys, because it's time for them to stop. If they want to be involved in an administrative capacity, that's fine. And a lot of former athletes do that. Go on to be general managers or work with team talent development or become coaches. So they're still involved with the game. I think if Brett really loves the game that much, that's something that he'll do. But the Vikings had a hell of a season last year. He put up some monster numbers. He clearly can still play. I just think he's trying to give his body a rest during the preseason.
You grew up in Massachusetts. Do you vividly remember 1986, the ball going through Bill Buckner's legs?
I do. That was actually, believe it or not, a tragically great year for Boston sports. The Patriots got smoked in the Super Bowl with emotional wins in the playoffs. The Red Sox in their emotional climb to the World Series, looking to be a shoo-in to win, and then all hell breaking loose. The Celtics having a great year, the Bruins having a great year, Boston College even beating Miami with the Hail Mary. I mean, some great moments in Boston sports came out of that 1986 year. I see the 30 for 30 documentaries all the time, and I'm just waiting for them to do one on 1986, especially from a New England standpoint. That was a great year and a tough year to grow up as a kid, but I think with all Boston fans, I don't want to say recently, because recently the Patriots have had overwhelming success, the Celtics, the Red Sox. As a Boston fan growing up, you weren't labeled as a loser because they did do so great, but it gave you that edge. You were humbled. You knew how to accept disaster. It helps you for the downtime, stuff like that. Boston fans love their teams, and situations like that, when everything can go great and then the rug just be pulled out from under you, it helps you persevere, and you savor when you win, but at the same time, you understand why you lost, and you want to go back, and you can't wait for next season. I think that's an interesting trait that all Boston fans share.
The Boston fans do have that swagger about them, and they're different from New York fans.
Whereas New York certainly expects every year to win a championship. Boston fans aspire to win a championship, but when they don't, they can't wait till next year to aspire to make that climb again.
So as a Boston sports fan, were you disappointed? Were you surprised when you found out that Manny Ramirez and David Ortiz were involved with performance-enhancing drugs?
I think that's a giant sore thumb on Major League Baseball. And you can't point the finger at anyone else but the players. Whether it's a lot of people say, oh, it's the league's fault for not instituting some sort of policy. The stuff is illegal. The guys know the stuff is illegal. It's not just Manny and David Ortiz. So many players have been busted for this stuff. And whether or not it's permitted in sport, it's just illegal. So it was just a bad time in a period of Major League Baseball. And it sucks because so many of Major League Baseball's heroes have now their success has now been, there's a dark cloud over it. Guys like Palmeiro, guys like Rodriguez, Barry Bonds, like all those names who have done so well through their entire career. People are now going to be like, okay, it was because of this. That's an argument that we could spend another 45 minutes on. It's just something that every baseball fan is going to have to accept. This was a period where this was prevalent throughout baseball. Accept it. And baseball's done whatever they can to move on and try to make themselves a cleaner game, and they're doing great at it. But I think we're all going to have to look back at that era as what it was.
John Cena, when you were in the ring at SummerSlam, there were chants. It was like half the crowd was chanting, "Let's go Cena." Half the crowd is chanting, "Cena sucks." Yeah. How does it make you feel when you're in the ring?
It's great, man. That's what we encourage. And like I said, our audience is as much of a superstar as the superstars. They control. It's like an animal, man. They are controlling the pace of everything out there. And to have that diversity in the crowd, that's like Yankees-Red Sox. And everyone watches Yankees-Red Sox because of the rivalry. The great thing about it is there's a rivalry with one person. So it can make for some really, really interesting moments.
WWE guys crossing over into the world of mixed martial arts. Brock Lesnar's been a great success early on. Now you've got Dave Bautista trying to make his mark in the mixed martial arts world. Bobby Lashley's doing his thing. Talk about those guys crossing over.
I think the schedule in the WWE necessarily isn't made for everyone, which is unique because people look at the WWE and think, oh, anybody can do that. Well, here you have legitimate, successful, tough SOBs. Bobby Lashley, Dave Bautista, Brock Lesnar. Those guys weren't necessarily cut out for what we do on a daily basis. The travel is grueling. The schedule is unbelievable. And for those guys to want to do something else is a sure testament to what we've accomplished here at the WWE.
What do you say to the people out there that they don't know enough about the wrestling business to understand that you guys are incredible athletes? What do you say to the people who don't think wrestlers are athletes?
I don't need to beat my chest to justify what I do for a living. If it is, the business is based on opinion, and everyone has theirs. Though I think those who say that there is no athletic ability involved in what we do are just really ignorant to what we do. They just haven't seen. I mean, it's blatantly obvious that we are sports entertainment. What we do is for entertainment purposes. But to say that we're not athletes is truly ignorant. So I mean, I don't need to beat my chest and say, oh, we do this, we do that. I know what we do. I've been involved with this company for a long time. And for somebody to make a statement like that clearly doesn't know what we do.
What's the worst finishing move you've ever seen in terms of, like, you see it and you're like, no, that's not going to knock a guy out in the ring? That's just, like, to me, I think Hulk Hogan, big leg drop.
I don't know. He's in his prime, he was 303 pounds. If a guy that body weight comes down on you, you'll certainly know it. I always thought the heart punch was a bit disastrous. You never can tell if it really does stop somebody's heart. I guess we'll have to leave it to folklore.
What about the worst gimmick of all time? There's been so many terrible gimmicks.
Top two, Shockmaster and the Gobbledygooker.
Not the Goon? Remember the Goon?
I like the Goon. I mean, that was an era where there was a ton of characters.
There was a place for the Goon in the WWE.
Absolutely. I thought the Shockmaster was a total disaster, and the Gobbledygooker was a giant build-up as to what was in that egg. And then when the Gobbledygooker came out, it was, even as a child, I could tell it was wrong, so you knew it was wrong.
You competed last night in SummerSlam. Your body gets beat up inside that ring. Tonight you've got Raw. How do you get yourself up and go out into that ring?
It's the same as guys doing like an 11-game swing, or you have to play the next day. You certainly don't short anything. You give all you have for whatever the game time allocates, and then you go out and you give whatever you have left. That's all I can ask is all I got. So I'm going to go out there tonight. We actually have a double Raw taping, so I'll probably end up wrestling in upwards of 4 times. But I'm going to go out there and give all I got for those 4 matches.
And the fans, their energy has got to give you so much adrenaline when you're in the ring.
That this doesn't just go for me, but that is the reason that all of us come back. It is because the audience is as much of a superstar as we are.
Best of luck to you in the ring.
Thanks so much, man.
Awesome.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. I appreciate you taking the time.